Please court your honors.
Yes, ma'am.
Before you is Mr. Anthony Jerome Fulton. He is here on case number 2020 GS 450138. He was originally charged with 2 counts of felony DUI with great bodily injury resulting. He is present this morning. He is represented by Attorney Marshall Weaver of the Florence County Bar. He is going to plead guilty to 1 count of felony DUI with great bodily injury resulting. The second count is going to be dismissed as part of this plea. At this time, Your Honor, the state is recommending a cap of 5 years. And Your Honor, present in the courtroom, we do have the victims. I believe the passenger who was in the vehicle with the defendant, Mr. Rodney Cobb, is seated with the family. And the victims of the other vehicle are seated right here behind me. Mr. Reginald Montgomery, his wife, Ivana Montgomery. Mr. Reginald, Ms. Marndell Montgomery.
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do. Mr. Fulton.
Yes, sir.
Well, let me back. Mr. Weaver, is that correct thus far, what I've heard?
Yes, sir, it is.
Mr. Fulton, to this charge today, how do you plead?
Guilty.
When you plead guilty, you give up the right to remain silent also. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You have the right to appeal the sentence today and the plea, but you must do that within 10 days. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask the state, ma'am, if you give me some information about it, please.
Your Honor, on February 5th, 2020, Trooper Miss with the South Carolina Highway Department responded to the intersection of Old Georgetown Road and Bartels Road in the Hemingway section of Williamsburg County in reference to a vehicle collision. Upon arrival on the scene, he did observe a severe collision did occur. That's when he observed a dark in color pickup truck with extremely severe front end damage, and he observed a smaller sedan-style vehicle on its side against a tree that appeared to have extremely severe damage as well. There were multiple fire EMS workers on the scene, hastily working on 2 patients that appeared to be in critical condition. Those 2 patients they were working on are the one, Mr. Reginald Montgomery and Mr. Rodney Cobb. Upon speaking with the fire EMS workers, it was apparent that the 2 patients that were on the ground were involved in the collision and had serious injuries. Trooper Miss made contact with the driver of the vehicle, that will be Mr. Anthony Fulton. He did observe an odor of alcoholic beverage coming from his person. Upon further investigation, it was identified and confirmed that it was Anthony Fulton as the driver of the dark in color pickup truck. Mr. Fulton advised that he had stopped at the stop sign located on Old Bartels Road. He did advise that he thought it was clear for him to proceed through the intersection, and that is when he struck the vehicle that was traveling on Old Georgetown Road. While speaking with him further, Mr. Fulton advised Trooper Miss that he had left the bar, was drinking alcoholic beverages before he got in his vehicle and then made the decision to drive. Trooper Miss performed his standard field sobriety test and noticed numerous clues that led him to believe that Mr. Fulton was impaired. He did advise Mr. Fulton that he was under arrest for DUI, advised him of his Miranda rights, and secured him in his front patrol vehicle. While in the patrol vehicle, the dash cam was rolling. Mr. Fulton did appear to become very lethargic. His speech became slurred. And in the vehicle, Trooper Miss stated the odor of alcoholic beverages filled the entire passenger area of his vehicle. Trooper Miss did a walk around the collision site, and it did appear that he noticed an acceleration or a burnout mark that was left where Mr. Fulton's vehicle had traveled to the point of impact, striking Mr. Montgomery's car. The damages, he noted that the damages done to the vehicles and the distance that the vehicles traveled before they collided with the tree were consistent with a very violent collision. Mr. Fulton was then taken to Williamsburg County Hospital. They did a blood draw and test his alcohol content in his system. That was approximately about 30 minutes to an hour later. And his blood alcohol content at that time was a 0.135. In regards to Mr. Montgomery's injuries, he suffered a punctured lung, broken humerus, several broken ribs on both sides, blunt trauma, a broken nose. He had to undergo orthopedic surgery on his right arm with screws and rods were placed in his right arm. And I will allow the victims to speak at the appropriate time.
All right. Now, Mr. Fulton,
Yes, sir.
did you listen to what she said?
Yes, sir.
Is what she has told me and us and you substantially correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you still wish to plead guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fulton, are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Pleading guilty because I am guilty.
Okay. Mr. Weaver, do you have any concerns with it? Please, guilty.
No, Your Honor, I'm not.
I find Mr. Fulton has been engaged and responsive in the questioning process without any equivocating answers. He's offered his plea, in my opinion, freely, knowingly, and voluntarily with advice and consent of good counsel. And I find that the information provided substantially supports the charge levied upon Mr. Fulton, so I will accept his guilty plea. Now, may I have some victims, ma'am?
Good morning.
Your name, ma'am?
My name is Rondell Montgomery,
Okay.
and I am the mother and speaking on behalf of Reginald Montgomery. And I'm speaking on his behalf because he does not remember or recall the accident. And I basically just want to explain the impact that it had on our lives. And to see him 3 years ago, we're just blessed to have him. And of course, and it wasn't just him, it was his son as well. And of course, his wife will come up and speak on his behalf. But this could have definitely been different. It could have been here, it could have been a homicide.
Yes.
And we have to be responsible for our actions, and I'm just asking the court to, whatever you feel that his punishment should be or his years should be, then that's on the court.
Okay. All right, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else?
Good morning. My name is Yvonne Montgomery. I am the mother who was in the car as a passenger at the time of the accident with his father. As my mother-in-law stated, this has greatly impacted our lives. I can just recount this morning coming here.
Good morning.
Hey, sir.
We come here this morning from one of our friends and family. I heard of this incident happen. Our heart went out for the family with my son. I took him as my son. And explained what happened to me. And we all grieved for the family. What happened? It took us a point that we never worked before. This young man, I raised him, Ben was in me for 55 years. For some reason, it took a love to be tight to me. I taught him how to live. Second, to be a man, to be a family man, to be accountable for our actions, for what we do.
Thank you.
Reverend Gatz.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Be glad to hear from you, sir. Your name for the record?
I'm Jerry Gaston,
Okay.
pastor of St. Paul United Methodist Church here in King Street. Had the privilege of being appointed there July 2019. I became Mr. Fulton's pastor at that time. Mr. Fulton is a very soft-spoken person, and can't say too much about him or what he said, only from conversations that we've had personally. But I just want to stand here today to say to this court, I know that he is very sorry for what he's done. And I feel his pain. I know his heart. And I can understand the difficulty this has caused, not only for him and his family, but also to the Montgomerys. My personal experience in DUIs, my brother was hit by a DUI driver many years ago when he was a young boy. And it caused a big impact on our family. But at the same time, we knew that God was in the midst of it all, and his life is still with us today.
Ronnie Cobb, who was his friend and was also the passenger in the vehicle when this incident occurred, Your Honor.
Hey, sir, how you doing?
Well, how are you?
Tell us your name one more time, please.
Ronnie James Cobb, Jr.
COBB?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, I stand here on behalf of Mr. Fulton today. I'm not going to try to be too long, but I want to let the court know that he made a mistake, and he's not the first person to make a mistake. I've made mistakes, and a lot of things in life, you know, that I got past, I may have not gotten past for different reasons. But today I'm standing here in his behalf, and I want the court to know that, you know, I feel he's real remorseful and sorry for what he did. I know this because, you know, I'm a part of the family. You know, we don't have a one-day-old relationship, friendship. It goes back for some years.
Sir.
Yeah. Finally, Your Honor, Ms. Wendy Fulton, his wife of 35 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
How are you?
Again, I'm Randy Fulton, I'm Anthony's wife. I'd like to again, on behalf of him, apologizing to the family. I know that it has been a trying time for you all, but our hearts have gone out to the family. We were informed initially not to approach the family for any reason. I've seen the victim's mom, you know, throughout town, I see her quite often, and wanted to approach her to ask her how her son was, but we were advised not to do so. But I do work with a young lady that knows the family, so she kept us informed of his progress. And each day as I went home from work, Anthony would ask me, did you hear anything? Have you heard how the young man is doing? And so I would give him updates as I knew. Attorney Weaver stated something earlier. I just wanted to make a correction. He said when he was transported to the hospital for treatment, he did not get treatment at the hospital. He refused treatment. Even after he came home, I tried to get him to go to the hospital because he had a severe
My client would like to address the court.
Yes, sir.
And after that, Your Honor, I have nothing further to communicate.
Yes, sir. Mr. Fulton?
Listen, trying to get my composure. First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you to my attorney, to the family that are impacted. You know, I just want to say that I'm sorry. You know, I thank you because I was allowed to be on the bond because you didn't force the issue. And I appreciate it. Regardless of what happened today, I'm at peace. I'm okay. Because I know who I am. And I know whose I am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That's what you have first.
Mr. Weaver, anything else?
Nothing further from the defense, Your Honor.
All right. As much as I have listened and taken notes, I still need some more time to ponder this. Ms. Killen sits to my left, a very good law clerk. She's heard me say this many times. I don't often like to issue what I call hasty rulings, or fast food rulings as I call it. So we'll take a recess for a few minutes. Let me go ponder and think about this. And I'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I don't like to talk a lot. But there are times when I do, perhaps too much. I don't mean to ramble when I do. And usually when I do so in the courtroom is to give those who are here and interested at least some indication as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. May not like it. I've often said that when I go to work at court, probably half the people are going to like me that day and half of them won't. Sometimes none of them do. None of them like me. But I wasn't elected to please people. It's not why I'm here. If any person puts on this black robe to please people, they're in the wrong business. As perplexing as it might sound to those who hear what I say sometimes, I do try to corral and capture that elusive thing called justice and fairness. The easiest thing a judge can do is simply put somebody in jail. I've seen it as a lawyer, and I still see it sometimes today. Because it requires no thought. You just do it. I have learned in my life that I have to seek help from a higher body in my day-to-day life. Some may criticize me for saying that, but that's all right. Mr. Fulton, this is going to be your sentence. You are sentenced to the South Carolina Department of Corrections for a period of time of 5 years. Suspended to 5 years of probation with credit for time served, if any. You are to continue to abide by all probation regulations, to include continuing your current treatment plan.